The scandal that shook a nation, inside the Profumo Affair and its lasting impact. The Profumo Affair remains one of the most infamous political scandals in British history, a dramatic tale of sex, lies, espionage, and the fall of powerful men. It began with a chance meeting between a young showgirl named Christine Keeler and the then Secretary of State for War, John Profumo, and ended in a national crisis that rocked the foundations of the government. Christine Keeler, a 21-year-old model in 1963, became the center of intense media scrutiny when Profumo resigned on June 5, admitting he had lied to Parliament about his affair with her. The scandal deepened as allegations emerged that Keeler had also been romantically involved with Yevgeny Ivanov, a Soviet naval attaché believed to be a spy. In the heat of the Cold War, the idea that a government minister had been involved with a woman linked to a Soviet agent raised fears of a national security breach. In a 1983 BBC interview, Keeler lamented that she had become little more than a newspaper headline, having never had a real opportunity to share her side of the story. "For 20 years, I think I've just been a newspaper clipping," she said. "I've never really had my say." The story captivated the public with its explosive combination of sex, showgirls, espionage, and the British elite. Keeler, unprepared for the media storm, was vilified and misrepresented by the tabloids, which heavily influenced public opinion. One iconic photograph of a naked Keeler sitting sideways on a chair became symbolic of the hedonistic spirit of 1960s London. Keeler's troubled life began long before she became a household name. Born in 1942 in Uxbridge, UK, she was raised in poverty after her father abandoned the family. She was sexually abused as a teenager by her stepfather and his associates. At 17, she became pregnant by an American serviceman and attempted a failed abortion. The child later died at 6 days old. After leaving school at 15 without qualifications, Keeler worked as a model and waitress before finding work as a showgirl at Murray's Cabaret Club in Soho, London. It was there she met fellow showgirl Mandy Rice-Davies and the man who would introduce them to high society, Stephen Ward. A well-connected osteopath whose clients included aristocrats and celebrities, Ward was known for arranging introductions between young women and powerful men. Keeler moved into his flat and became part of his social circle, attending high society parties and meeting influential figures. It was through Ward that Keeler met Profumo at a party hosted by Lord Astor at Cliveden Estate on July 8, 1961. Profumo, 46 at the time, was smitten upon seeing the teenage Keeler swimming nude. Also present that weekend was Captain Ivanov, the Soviet attaché. Though Keeler later admitted to a brief sexual encounter with Ivanov, she insisted they were never lovers. Initially reluctant to get involved with Profumo, Keeler was persuaded by Ward to pursue the relationship. The affair lasted only a few weeks, but its consequences were severe. In December 1962, a violent confrontation outside Ward's flat involving two other men Keeler was dating, Lucky Gordon and Johnny Edgecombe, led to police involvement and media attention. This brought renewed scrutiny to her connection with Profumo and Ivanov, fanning fears of espionage. As rumors swirled, Profumo denied any wrongdoing in Parliament. But 10 weeks later, he confessed to lying and resigned, triggering a political firestorm. Soon after, Ward was arrested and charged with procuring women and living off immoral earnings. During the highly publicized trial, Keeler and Rice-Davies were painted as prostitutes, though the only evidence was that they had received gifts and contributed money for rent and utilities while staying with Ward. The trial drew national attention. Spectators filled the courtroom daily, and newspapers thrived on the sensational details of sex and scandal among Britain's elite. When Rice-Davies was told in court that Lord Astor denied having slept with her, she famously quipped, "Well, he would, wouldn't he?" No influential figure came forward to defend Ward, and as the trial neared its end, he died by suicide. Many now consider the case a miscarriage of justice. In 2017, efforts to review Ward's conviction were rejected, and official documents remain sealed until 2046. Keeler, too, would face legal consequences. She was later sentenced to 9 months in prison for perjury in an unrelated case involving Lucky Gordon, where she had lied to protect 2 men present during the assault. The scandal dealt a severe blow to Prime Minister Harold Macmillan's Conservative government. Though a 1963 inquiry concluded that national security had not been compromised, it heavily criticized Ward and avoided holding ministers accountable. Macmillan resigned that October due to ill health, and the Conservatives lost the next general election. While Profumo disappeared from politics and rebuilt his life through charity work, eventually receiving a CBE in 1975, Keeler struggled. Following her release from prison, she lived in a council flat, dependent on Social Security and largely ostracized from public life. In 1983, she published her autobiography, Nothing But, to tell her own version of events after years of being misrepresented. She would write several books and serve as inspiration for the 1989 film Scandal, starring Joanne Whalley. Perspective. The Profumo Affair stands as a cautionary tale about the intersection of politics, class, gender, and media. While Profumo was allowed the dignity of rehabilitation, Keeler bore the brunt of moral judgment. Her youth, trauma, and lack of agency were often overshadowed by salacious headlines. The affair exposed not just government vulnerability, but society's deep-seated double standards. In many ways, Christine Keeler became a symbol of how easily a woman can be vilified for the misdeeds of powerful men, a lesson that still resonates today. Subscribe to the channel to see the latest videos.